Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Talking Disney Magic, a show all about ranking and reviewing the biggest movies in Disney and Pixar's catalog and talking about all the news in the House of Mouse, including Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars. And this week, me, Adam Bankhurst, and my wonderful co-host Vanessa are talking all about Moana 2. Yes, the
Woo!
movie that just came out today and is, gonna obviously probably destroy at the box office and is a sequel to one of the most beloved films, a film we gave an S last week.
We
Spoilers.
did.
This is we
Spoiler,
love
spoiler.
we love this film and this and what it started, and we're excited to kind of see where this journey takes them and dive deep into first our spoiler-free reactions and then our spoilery reactions and see how it holds up on our initial watch. We're still kind of a work in progress. This is all fresh. We want to just get this out as quickly as we can to you. And but even though we're going fast and loose with this one, we can't miss the most important part. Vanessa, how you doing?
We were both up super late last night to be able to go to this movie, and I'm a little bit sick, and it's Thanksgiving week, so that's always,
Oh,
best time
always
to be
something.
sick. Yeah, always something. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry
What
to
are you
hear
doing for
that.
Thanksgiving?
So we're going to my wife's parents' house today, which is where I'm recording this on Wednesday, and then Thursday we're going up to Cleveland to see my families, and we'll be up there all weekend and see family and do stuff. Gonna try to see Wicked because I hear that's incredible.
Yes, that's great.
Yeah, and do that. So yeah, it'll be nice. How about you?
We're hosting tomorrow, Thanksgiving Day, because it's Wednesday today. And there's gonna be about 13 or 14 of us, which will be fun. And then yeah, just hanging out for the weekend and living life with the kids and all the
Hopefully
fun
feeling
things. Yeah.
better, all that good
Hopefully
stuff.
feeling better, getting some sleep, maybe. Maybe not.
Yeah, I
Probably
know.
not.
Probably not. Team no
Probably not.
sleep forever. But I do want to remind everyone that Talking Disney Magic is a weekly show, and we go live on all your favorite podcast services at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday. And this episode will probably be released a little bit early, so it's a special Thanksgiving treat for whenever you get the chance to see Moana. And if you want to be a part of the show, you can send an email to talkingdisneymagic@gmail.com. Once again, that's talkingdisneymagic@gmail.com. And we kind of are going to jump into a little bit of the news, and it kind of will link to Moana 2 because there were like a lot of trailers in this movie,
A
Vanessa.
lot of trailers. So many trailers.
Oh my God. Like my showtime was 9:30 p.m. last night. The film started late for some reason, so the trailers didn't even start till 9:40, and there were literally 30 minutes of trailers. It was like absolutely insane.
Yeah, it was wild. It was a wild mix too, like a bunch of things where I was like, really? Okay, here we go.
Yeah, a lot of Disney, a lot of DreamWorks, a lot of other things. It was like just such a weird collection of things that just kept going and going and going. And usually I love trailers, but even I was like, okay, guys, this is something new. And it was, usually, and it's funny because I used to love like trailers used to be like one of my. Sometimes I was more excited to see the trailers than the movie that I was going to see at certain times. But in today's day and age, I feel like it's not as exciting because they just release them all the time. So you're kind of spoiled in most cases. There were a few surprises for me here today, but
Hmm.
it's not quite as exciting as it used to be. But like it's I don't know. I always get captivated by a good trailer.
So, out of all the things that were shown, what was the one you're most excited about?
So I'll give one I'm most excited about and one that I was kind of surprised about. So I
Hmm.
think the one that I'm most excited about, and I know it's a little bit of bias here, but I'm still feeling kind of good about Mufasa. I don't know. It
I
just,
know, I thought you were gonna say that.
I actually didn't see this trailer I didn't see it
Yeah, I
online
hadn't seen
until,
it either.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like, they obviously hit me with the classical Lion King music and stuff. And, Timon and Pumbaa were there and a lot more Rafiki, which was one of my biggest complaints of the first film. And like I said, we chatted about this on a previous episode, but I don't have the preconceived notions of how perfect the Lion King is and how I remember beat for beat every part of the original Lion King. So when things strayed or felt a little different, the movie didn't quite work so well for me. But this one, it's a different story where I always love a good tale of, people coming together and then you learn the way of why they fell or what
Yeah, the
happened in
origin
between them.
stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like even like Sarabi made an appearance in this trailer and we get to hear the voices and some of the CG seems a little weird and like,
A little
uh,
bit
like like
clunky.
yeah, like some of I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of clunkiness and weirdness, but if we can get to some of the heart of the Lion King and add some stuff to the Lion King lore and have some good funny moments, and I don't know, I'm feeling hopeful. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be like the greatest thing of all time, but I'm I'm feeling optimistic about Mufasa, and I'd say that trailer made me even a little more excited to see it next month. Which is crazy.
Yeah,
It's like coming out so soon.
I know. Which
What
means
a,
we're going to be doing your favorite film soon
I
too, in
know. I'm so
preparation.
excited.
I know. It's going to be so great.
What if I watch it again and hate it? It's the worst film of all time.
Wouldn't that be the worst?
Oh,
This is not how I remembered it.
I know. My childhood is ruined. Yeah, luckily I did a whole like 30th anniversary retrospective on the film, so I watched it like a few months ago, and it's still incredible. So
It's
happy
so
to
great.
report. So how about you?
Can confirm.
Was there any what did anyone really stand out to you?
I'm looking at the list I wrote down. I went old school last night to not disrupt people, and I brought like a notebook
I
with
love
my
it.
chicken scratch
That's a
in it,
pro
and
move right there.
I was like, I'm gonna write it all down. But I was a little bit um surprised by Snow White. Like the story seems more complex and
Yeah.
different.
Yep.
And some of the animation seemed a little bit funky. But and the music, they were singing some new songs in
Hmm.
it, and I was like, wow, okay, like this may be a little bit better than I was expecting.
Yeah.
So that was a surprise for me.
Yeah,
And
just keeping on Snow White for just a
yeah,
second. Yeah, I didn't love the trailer. Like I wanted to love more. I think one of the weirdest things, I felt like Gal Gadot was just Gal Gadot to me and not the evil queen. Like it
yeah,
just felt like she was too much herself. Like I wasn't looking at the queen, I was looking at Gal Gadot or like Wonder Woman. I don't like know what it was, but like that kind of took me out a little bit. And I mean, I know there's been a whole bunch of controversy with how the dwarves look, and like I mean, I'm sure you'll grow on them. Yeah, they look a little like interesting or whatever, but I don't know. Yeah, it didn't quite gel for me, but I did like. Yeah, it seems like Snow White is maybe growing going to be growing to be like a much even more powerful character and standing up to people and doing more in the story and stuff, which could be interesting and along with the new songs and everything. But
yeah,
yeah, that one was kind of the opposite of Mufasa for me, where I was like, I don't know, I'm still a little mixed on this one.
yeah. Intrigued. Color me
Yeah,
intrigued is really what it came down to. I was like, huh, all right.
yeah,
See how
yeah,
this one shakes out,
yeah. I'm definitely interested to see it for sure. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Um, and then Elio, I thought looked really cool. I was excited about that with the
I
aliens
actually
and
didn't get that one in my showing.
what? Really?
Yeah.
It was good. That the 30 minutes didn't
I
include
know, I
Elio.
know. I know. I was surprised. I didn't even think about that. I was like, that's another one I know got released like I think last week, and I actually haven't even had a chance to watch it yet. And I was like,
It
oh
was
yeah,
good.
that wasn't in there.
It like felt like there was a little bit like you could feel a little pixie dust in there, I think. A
Oh
little.
yeah, I love
So that
that.
was
Yeah,
good.
I need to watch that trailer. Yeah, I'm excited about that. That's the next big Pixar film coming out.
Hmm. And then the other one that came out, we saw the teaser for Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, I actually really liked it.
I like how Stitch looks. I
I
was
feel
like,
like he
wow,
looks
he's so
great.
cute. He looks so good.
Like, I mean, just what a perfect teaser trailer for Lilo and Stitch. Just him
Right.
destroying sandcastles, the Disney sandcastle nonetheless, and having his cackling laugh. I thought
And
I was,
licking the screen.
yeah. I was like, this is Stitch. This is perfect. Like, I mean, we'll see about the rest of the movie and everything, but for a little like 20-second teaser, well done, Disney. That was really
Well
good.
done. Well done. I commend thee.
Yes, definitely.
So yeah, those were all the ones that I picked out of the
Did you have Dogman in yours? The DreamWorks one?
yes.
That actually looked kind of cool. I was like kind of like I like the animation style and very like comic book poppiness of it. And it was just like a bizarre thing of like a dog and a person. The dog loses his body and the person loses his head and they just combine them. They just go on missions and doing stuff. And I don't know. I was like, you know what? This actually looks pretty funny. I
It
don't know.
looks like it could be an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, it literally opens with like, what if we just put them together?
They
Like,
both give the thumbs up. I was like, okay, this is funny.
a little bit weird, but
Yeah, yeah, but sometimes a little weird is
offbeat.
good,
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, it was great. Yeah, I'm trying to, was there anything else that stuck out to you, or I feel like those were kind of the big ones.
Yeah, those are the big ones. There was the other bad guys too. Did you get that one too?
No, didn't get that one.
It was a DreamWorks. I don't even remember Bad Guys one, but it was
Yeah.
basically like this crew of like robbers turned
Yeah,
good,
right.
and then they get now they get coerced to becoming bad again, and so that's what they
Gotcha,
were
gotcha. Yeah,
struggling
I
to
think that
get
did
that.
relatively well, so that's probably why they're getting a sequel. But yeah, it's interesting.
A lot of
Okay.
these things I've like never heard of, and I don't know if it's just that I was out of it with the kids for a while, or but
Yeah,
yeah, it's interesting. Like some things just like don't make it into the zeitgeist anymore. Takes a
yeah,
while to
yeah.
break through.
Right, for sure. There's just so many movies these days and so many things going on. It's
Mhm.
crazy, but yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of exciting things in Disney and out of Disney, and we'll continue to keep update on that. But yeah, there's a yeah. It's I'm very these live action ones will be really fun to kind of dive deep into them and see how they compare and what they do, and it'll be fun. And they're coming out soon. I'm like it's kind of surprising. So yeah, so there's we're gonna jump into Moana because I know that's what everybody's here for, but we did want to. There was kind of a big piece of news that Destination D23 is coming back to Walt Disney World August 29th through 31st of 2025. And it's going to take place at Coronado Springs. And they promise that there's going to be exclusive presentations from Walt Disney Archives and Walt Disney Studios. And like there'll probably be some sneak peeks into some new stuff happening and updates on all the stuff that happened from D23. And so for those unfamiliar, Destination D23 is like the smaller version of D23, which is like the ultimate Disney, Star Wars, Marvel fan celebration that also has a lot of big news. Like D23 this year was like packed to the gills with news. And these Destination D23s are definitely more fan focused, so there's not going to be as much news and exciting stuff, but I feel like there'll probably be some exciting updates. And I mean there's so many things going on at Disney parks and in Disney studios, so I think we're going to get some exciting updates. So this will be a fun one. I'm excited to see what adventures come out of this one.
Well, and the Coronado Springs just got renovated, right?
Yeah, I
Like I
think so.
remember they were doing the renovations and they were making it really beautiful. And so I
Hmm.
think that's probably why they picked it to like get fans excited and
Yeah,
resort hotels and everything like that.
we got to get you to this one, Vanessa.
I know.
They're like D23. This past D23 was my first one, and it's like so incredible to. It's basically like going to convention with like thousands of your best friends that are all there to celebrate the things you love. It's just such an exciting place to be, and everyone you talk to is just so happy to be there and excited about something, or is the biggest fan of some movie, and the energy is just incredible. Sure, the lines get long and it just kind of gets a little crazy, but they do a good job, and I'm excited to kind of see it evolving and seeing what the future holds for the big old Disney.
Yeah, it'll be fun. There's a lot of things that are coming up that we can get excited about, with all the different park expansions and new lands and the new movies. There's just a lot
There
that's coming
is.
up. So there's a lot that they can get to celebrate too, which is cool.
Yeah. But the future is the future, and we're here today to talk about Moana 2, the big the
Yeah.
big Thanksgiving film for Disney that is maybe projected to dethrone Frozen as the biggest Thanksgiving opening of all time. And I
Hmm.
could definitely see it happening. It's a movie that had a very interesting road because it was first announced basically back in 2020 as a Disney Plus TV series. So everybody thought this was going to be just one of their because during the Bob Chapek era they were really going hard at Disney Plus and having all these shows and follow-ups, which some made it, some have still yet to see the light of day. But what was so shocking is that like in February of this year, they're just like, just kidding, it's a movie and it's coming out at Thanksgiving, and everybody was
Yeah, I
like,
remember being
what?
like, wow,
Wait, what?
Moana 2 is coming? Like
Yeah,
this feels
what?
like deep fake, like not real news.
Right. Yeah, that was a very shocking news story that kind of took the world by storm. And they're like, wait, what? Because, Moana, as we encourage you to check back to our show last week where we did a deep dive into Moana, which is the most streamed thing. What was it in 2023 of
In 20
any movie of any streaming platform, right?
Yeah, totally. Uh-huh. Like over a billion streams or something wild. Like we have the notes in your
Yeah. Yeah.
last week. I'm like scrolling down.
Yeah, it's just it just took the world by storm, and rightfully so. And we talked about our love for that first film, and like we said at the top of the show, gave it an S. So this movie had a lot of big shoes to fill, and it was interesting because the first one came out in 2016, so we're almost 8 years past it, and it's kind of surprising that it even took this long. I know Disney's kind of very hesitant about the sequels and diving deep into things unless they have a really big story, but this one. I'm very excited to kind of hear more about the development if we ever get that because what's really interesting too about this is not only did it start as a Disney Plus series, but it's the first Disney film to actually be animated and developed at Walt Disney Studios Vancouver office. Most of their like all their films are developed in the Burbank office in California. So since it started as a Disney Plus, they just kind of I guess kept it up there and did that. So I feel like that comes with its own kind of qualms. And I'm sure, everyone there is obviously super talented and they used a lot of the big talent that I'm sure they used from the main place. But this movie just is a definitely was on, rougher seas or different paths than a normal Disney movie.
Hmm.
So it's interesting, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think despite, the reviews have come out, they're a little mixed. Some love it, some are a little set back by it, and we'll kind of get to that in a second. But I think despite that, I think it's gonna destroy at the box office. I think it's gonna do
Oh,
really, really
totally.
well.
I mean, I went at 8 p.m. Central last night, and it was a full house on
Yeah,
a Tuesday, with lots of kids.
right.
And I also shout out to my friend Sarah, our friend Sarah, who we used to go to the movies every week,
Yeah.
and she would always bring her blanket
Oh, that
and
was
her
my favorite.
slippers, and she would get cozy. Everybody had their blankets and their
Really? Oh,
slippers, and
that's
I was just
amazing.
like, wow, that's hilarious and amazing. And they sold blankets in the front lobby. Like it was like a whole thing. Like it's like a thing here, I guess. Like
Oh,
everybody
that's
comes and gets cozy. I was like, that's amazing.
that's kind of amazing. I do love that.
Right?
Yeah, my theater was also pretty packed, and yeah, it's good to see. It's always funny. I mean, you always hear about the death of the movie theaters and things, but it's nice. There's something so special still about the movie going experience and seeing it on the big screen and doing that. And I'm glad to see that these blockbuster, big budget films come around and bring everybody together and do stuff. So it's nice when that Disney logo comes on and you just know you're in for something special. It's good.
Well, and the Disney logo this time around, and it's not spoilery of the movie, but like it was
Oh,
beautiful.
I
They did the
know.
whole Moana themed like Disney castle, and it was just stunning. It
Yeah, and I
was
don't know if you
so
noticed, like
pretty.
Pride Rock was in the background at the end, and I think maybe the Matterhorn. There were like some other things in the background that I like want to go back and check, but I was like, this feels like different and more magical, and I was like, this
Yeah,
is really, really great. I really enjoyed that.
beautiful. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's there's a lot obviously to dive into this movie, and we want to start by just giving our initial impressions. And this is going to be the spoiler-free section. We'll give you a big warning when we're talking about spoilers and stuff, but before we kind of dive deep into the movie, I'd like to hear your thoughts, Vanessa, in a spoilery-free way. What did you think of the long-awaited Moana 2?
Uh, I thought it was good. It was good.
Yeah.
I think the we talk a little bit about like there was a lot of things about this film that seems rocky from like a production standpoint. The big thing that I think everybody was waiting for was the music
Hmm.
piece, right? Like, and to see was the music is good, right?
Yeah.
And you know, when I was telling Adam before we started recording that I was hanging out because I was with my husband. We watched a movie together. I was asking him, and then I was like listening in on people, like to see what they're like to hear, like just like reactions. They're
Yeah.
like those me, right? So they're all just like chit chatting. And I think the consensus is the music was good, but not as great as the original, right? And I think that some of the magic like is in the music, right? And
Yeah.
I just didn't feel that same level of magic, I think.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And so obviously Lin-Manuel Miranda was kind of the big part
Big
of the
name.
original
Yeah.
soundtrack. So in for this one, so Lin-Manuel Miranda in the first one was joined by Mark Mancina and Alpatea Foai, which excuse my pronunciation if that's wrong, but those two did return to compose the score. But this time Abigail Barlow and Emily Bear replaced Lin-Manuel Miranda. And yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think hopefully, I mean, I'm hopeful some of these songs will kind of grow on people as you listen to them, and kids inevitably listen to them thousands of thousands of times on
Thousand.
repeat. And I
Yeah.
think there were some fun ones. Like I kind of enjoyed the Get Lost one by Matangi, and like
Yeah.
Go Beyond. Like it's some things like that. There's definitely some high points that I think will hopefully stand the test of time a little bit, but nothing so iconic as yeah, like yeah. I mean, how
All of the
far I'll
music.
go, or you're welcome, or
Yeah.
shiny. I
Yeah.
mean, all those things. Like
All
there's
the songs. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, just that man, that Moana soundtrack is just oh my god, so good.
Spectacular. Yeah. It felt good. But yeah, it just wasn't. And I felt too that I think we have some of the similar, I have some of the similar feedback we had around Inside Out too, where they were trying to cram a lot in and they didn't sit in some of the emotional beats like they potentially could have.
Yeah.
And I think too, I was noticing because I cry all the time. Adam and I cry a lot together.
Yep. We're big criers and proud of
We're
it.
big criers. And I was like, in Moana, I talked about it. I cried like the whole
Oh,
movie last time. It was
I could
just
barely
like
see the movie. There were tears in my eyes
there's
the whole
so many tears,
time.
like buckets, buckets. I was just like so emotional. And I don't know if it was just like the timing of it. There's a whole bunch of reasons, but like that movie gets me, right? And this time there was a couple times that I got emotional, and there were a couple scenes where there was definitely like I was like choked up and I had tears, but not to the same degree. I don't
Yeah.
think it didn't hit me in the same like emotional feels that the original did.
I know I'm sad to say I don't think I even shed one tear. I did get a little
Really?
emotional, but yeah, I know. I was like, oh, that sucks. That's too bad. I like going in a movie and feeling things and being changed and all that stuff.
Oh, walk out feeling like a different person. That's kind
Yes,
of how I felt
exactly.
leaving Moana 1.
Oh,
Like
I
I
know.
was like, oh my God, I gotta get the soundtrack. I need to watch this
Yeah.
over and over and over again. Like I just can't talk about how much like this like moved me. And this time I was like, it was moving and it was cool. There were cool points, which
Oh,
we'll talk
yeah.
about. But like, I don't know. I mean, it was good. It just wasn't transcendent.
Yeah. And I think for me, like I talked about this a little too. Like Moana, I loved it when I first saw it. Not as much as I feel like on rewatches. Like the more I watched it and learned more and saw stuff, the
Totally.
more it grew on it. So I this is definitely a movie I'm excited to see when it comes on Disney Plus. Or I had to see it late last night, so I want to go see it with Liam and
Yeah.
Betsy
And
and
I
do
want to see
that
it with
again.
Henry. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see it kind of through their eyes and do that whole thing. So I think there's a lot to go through this, but yeah, it was I think we're kind of on the same page here that it was it was good, just not as great as we were hoping. And I will say the thing that I was kind of fearing, I think did come true, where it really did kind of feel like a series, like like in a sense, some of me was thinking this is kind of like a Moana 1.5 in like parts of it where there was like certain thing like there was a lot of certain setup and certain things that they're like trying to build things and do stuff. And yeah, there was some interesting things that we'll talk about in a few minutes that I was just like, yeah, maybe I was hoping for something a little more, but I enjoyed it.
Well, I think too, now that you mention that, I can kind of see where a lot of these things might have been like set up as TV
Yep,
episodes,
exactly.
right? Like you can like as you're watching it, you can be like, oh, that was going to be a
Yep.
TV episode. Oh, that was going to be a TV episode, right?
Yeah.
And they tried to, I mean, and TV is meant to be watched serially, right? Like
Yeah.
you're supposed to watch them, but like, and I guess we're all used to watching things like binge watching these days in like quick succession.
Hmm.
But you don't expect the same flow from a TV show that you expect from a movie
Right. Right. Exactly.
because there are points where it's breaking points, right?
Yeah.
Like for an episode, and there's a climax at each one of those points that you're expecting in a TV show that you don't expect that in a movie. You expect it to be a little bit more fluid. And the other thing I did notice too, like I brought my notebook and I was writing things down, and I found that it takes me out of it a little bit, which
Hmm.
may also be why I'm a little bit more
The
critical.
the curse of a reviewer is definitely what
Right?
that is.
Yeah, like I'm a little bit more
Blessing and a
critical.
curse.
I kind of feel like next time, like when Mufasa comes out, I kind of want to go twice in the same day. Like I kind of want to go like once just to watch it and once
Yeah,
to go take notes because I feel like I want the experience of watching it,
right.
right? Like
For
because I
sure.
feel like I don't have that. Like 'cause I was trying to remember all the points to make sure that we hit them all
Yeah, it's
as we're
tough.
talking about it and so I was like in that and like so it was this double thing. So I think for me I might learn that I need to do 2 times in a day and just make the commitment.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, I think that kind of. Oh, actually, I did want to touch on one more thing that's not really spoilery. I, I thought the movie was beautiful, and I thought the
Yeah.
ocean was beautiful, and there were some really incredible scenes we'll talk about in the spoilery section. But I don't know, the characters felt like plasticky for like they were like too shiny or perfect, or I don't know what it was. Did you feel that too, or am I crazy? I felt like
From
they
like an animation
yeah,
standpoint,
like I thought the animation was good, but I don't know, something about the characters just felt like too like I don't know, they felt like toys or they were too plasticky or like shy. I'm like I was trying to decide what it was, and I mean I feel like they just looked slightly different than they did in Moana, where I felt they felt a bit more like fitting of the world, but there was something about this time where the characters, maybe it's because they they were older, obviously they grew up a little bit, but something about all the characters and things just felt a little off to me, and it's hard for me to kind of explain. So I was curious if you noticed that at all, or if you had any issues with those things.
Maybe a little bit now that you're mentioning it. I'm wondering if it's because it was going to be a TV show that like it was done a little bit differently, maybe with different tools. Like, I don't know, and as somebody from Disney, if you want to talk about how your animation works like
Yeah.
differently from TV and come talk to us because we'd love to deep dive. We love a good deep dive, but yeah, I wonder if it's like because of budgets or whatever, if movies get different like product suites or tools or than
Yeah.
TV like movies do, right? Or if it's just they don't have the same level of cohesiveness from like an animation standpoint. The level of detail and the level of people on a movie, I think, might be slightly different than an animated series.
Yeah. And also, obviously, 8 years is a long time and things
Long
have
time.
changed. And obviously, there's different people animating and different, ideas of how they want to tell the story and do stuff. So I know it's just more of like, since we were so like focusing on Moana, that like jumping into this was like maybe a little jarring potentially, but
Very
whatever.
jarring.
But yeah, that was just one thing that kind of stood out. Like, I thought the ocean and a lot of things were beautiful, but there were some things where I was like, yeah, it just looks like a little off. I don't know. It was weird.
And I wonder too, like, was some of the ocean stuff animated, well, obviously by different people, but like was some of that carryover from Moana 1, where they were able to like pick up some of the like pieces. Like
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't know
right.
how much you can like pick up certain things
Yeah,
and
right.
reuse. And these people were all new, and like there was a lot of people, right? Like I think part of it too is in Moana 1 there wasn't a lot of main characters. It was like, hey, hey, Moana and Maui.
Hmm.
And so they had probably a lot of time and ability to focus on the animation and the continuity and the structure of those characters because they were the only ones. And then you had like ancillary characters. And in this movie, there was a lot more of a cast and there's a lot more people that you have to be focused on from like a consistency, look and feel, and even like in the scenes, there was just so many more people.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
I'm wondering if that maybe led to some of the like
Yeah.
they only had, 7 months for when they announced it was going to be a movie. Obviously, they've been working on it before that, but
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah, who knows what happened behind the scenes and what
who
they
knows
had to
what happened
switch
behind the
around
scenes.
and
Yeah. And how much they had to invest in certain things and they probably had to make trade-offs, right?
yeah,
Like we're gonna have to let these things like live as they are
right.
and not boil the ocean because we can't make the deadline.
Yeah, right. 100%. Well, cool, Vanessa. Well, I think that ends our spoiler-free talk. So we encourage, if you haven't seen Moana 2, just pause us and we'll be waiting for you. Don't worry, just go rush out, come back, hit
Yeah.
play, and we'll welcome you back.
Yeah.
We'll wait here. We'll sit here waiting just for you.
Oh, yeah. We'll even pause for a second to give you a second and we'll say welcome back.
Yes. So have fun, enjoy the movie, get some
Enjoy. We'll
popcorn, get
talk to
some
you soon.
candy.
Popcorn. Okay, wait, but hold on. What's your favorite movie snack? Like when you're going to the movies, what do you absolutely have to have?
So for years, like since even farther back than I can remember, my go-to is popcorn with a ton of butter and salt, mix in regular chocolate M&Ms, so you get the sweet and salty, and then get a sour candy, either Sour Patch watermelon or they have some other ones like sometimes they don't have them, so they have other like knockoffs or whatever. And then just a nice crisp Dr. Pepper. Just it's the perfect
Completes your
combo.
movie going experience. So,
Yeah, how about you?
I just like popcorn, straight up. Lots of butter, lots of salt. And I like if I'm gonna have a soda, I'll have a Coke.
Yeah.
But otherwise I'll just drink water.
Yeah.
And my husband, like he eats so much popcorn, like he loves it. That's his favorite part about going to the movies is the popcorn. He like doesn't even care what we see as long as he gets popcorn. So last night he was pretty upset that I was eating quite a bit of popcorn.
Oh
So
no.
he was like, "This isn't even that much," and I was like, "It's a huge
I know
tub."
they give so much popcorn. It's
He was
crazy.
like, "There's not enough," and I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh my God.
So we were
First world
bickering about
problems. First
popcorn.
world
Yeah, first
problems
world
for sure.
problems around popcorn sharing. But someone did have a brilliant idea. I saw them come in and they had these plastic bags. It looked like they had bought the big refill tubs, and they
Yeah.
would dump it into a bag and hand it over so that they can then have everybody have their own bag. And I was like, wow, that was smart. I don't think I need to do
Yeah,
that.
really, seriously.
Yeah, because they were just like came in and they all had their clear plastic
Oh,
bags.
interesting. I like
There
it.
was it was a family of like 15. Like
Oh,
it was
wow.
very large.
Oh my
But
gosh.
they I think it's because here the Marcus Theater chain is the one that we have up here. And the movies are $5 on Tuesdays
Oh yeah.
all day. So
Oh, yeah, even at
I was like,
nighttime?
yeah,
Oh
like
wow.
for the two of us to go to a premiere
Oh
night
my
movie
God.
was
That's amazing.
$12.
Oh my gosh.
For both of us to go was $12.
Wow. That's pretty
So I was
impressive.
like, so that's when they all filed in. I was like, oh, because it's Tuesday. And they
It
all
all
want to
makes
go and they don't
sense.
want to spend $170
Yeah, I
on
can't
tickets
blame
they
them.
want to
Oh my
spend,
God.
you know?
Yeah, cool. Well, if you have any fun snacks you want to recommend to us,
Yeah.
or you have any spoiler-free thoughts or things, send them to talkingdisneymagic@gmail.com. Once again, that's talkingdisneymagic@gmail.com. And we also do want to encourage people if you've liked our show, if you've enjoyed what we've been doing, we'd really, really appreciate a review, or if you spread the word, or you let people know, because we're trying to build, an awesome Disney community where we're talking about Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, and we even have, a Discord you can join in the show notes below. And we'd love you to have you be part of this story that we're telling. And we love talking Disney, obviously. So, and the more people we could do it with, the more people we could do it with, the better. So once again, if you have not seen Moana, run away. We'll waiting here for you in real time. We're not going to move until you come back. You can join us for our spoiler talks. But until then, enjoy the film. And welcome back.
I
You did it. You saw the movie. Vanessa and I haven't talked. We haven't moved. We've been sitting here.
Freeze tag. We played some freeze tag.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So we hope you enjoyed the film, and now we could talk about the spoilers. So the way we're going to kind of do this, I guess, maybe we can kind of go through the plot, because it's tricky when you're doing instant reactions, because like Vanessa said, it is definitely a challenge to kind of watch the movie, remember everything, write it down, do it, because you don't want to interrupt people. So I think we're going to kind of go through the movie summary and then maybe talk about our favorite parts as we kind of get to them, and what we thought. Does that kind of seem like a good plan?
Sounds like a solid plan to me.
Yeah, so we'll kind of start right at the beginning. The film kicks off 3 years after the events of the first film, and Moana's basically, the big Voyager Wayfinder, going beyond the reef, going out and exploring what's beyond, and finding a new way for her people. And we pick up with Moana, Pua, and Hei, and they're on this island. And the first one we meet them on, they find this piece of pottery, and it has an image of this island of some people and stars. And this gets Moana very excited, and she sails back home to Motunui, but not before we get the first, kind of recurring gag of Hey, and pretending that we think is answering the call that Moana blows with the shell, but it's just Hey swallowing the shell, as he's wont to do.
Yes. And I think the blowing on the shells is like symbolizing that she's trying to like reach out and find people. Like that's
Yep.
the goal of this wayfinding. It's like, how do you find more people? She's like, there's got to be more people out there. Kind of like we're thinking about aliens. There's more people out there. She's
Yeah.
like, there's got to
Uh-huh.
be more people out
Right.
there besides our little island. Right.
I know it is. I did actually kind of have that epiphany a little bit. Like even when we were doing Moana, I'm like, it is kind of like a tale of space a little bit. Like, are we alone out there? There's got to be more to this. What's
Yeah.
happening? It is kind of interesting, and I always find that whole argument fascinating, that we like know more about space than we do the ocean. So even in a sense, like the ocean is just as much a mystery. So they sail obviously back to Motunui, and we kind of get a glimpse of what life is like past the original events of Moana. And we see that Moana's become kind of a legend, where people are now telling stories of her, much like Tala was telling stories of, Tafiti and Maui and all this stuff. Moana's kind of starting to become a legend
Living
and
legend,
a
rock
living.
star. Like she is just it. She's the
Yes,
it girl.
definitely. And rightfully so. I mean, she kind of saved everything. So
She
it
did. She
gets you
saved the
some
world.
clout.
She did save the world. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And then,
Pretty cool.
she finally comes back and sails, and everyone obviously greets her. And this is when we get introduced to kind of one of the big new additions, her sisters, Samaya. So what do you think about little Moana?
Oh my God. I loved the big sis, little
Yeah.
sis. Oh my God. I was just like, this is so cute. I just love it so much.
Yeah, I loved it too. I will say, a part of me, like the critic part of me, that like I love the emotional part. Like it does kind of feel like she was put there for just to give us more emotion. Like I mean I know it's obviously 2020, easy to say, but like it would have been nice if maybe we saw her born in the last film, or if there was like a little more setup of their relationship. But I think overall, obviously she was cute. I think it worked out well and stuff. But yeah, it's nice to have obviously that I mean it's hard to beat a good sister bond, I'm sure, like sibling bond that I think
Yeah.
was a nice emotional beat throughout the
Yeah.
movie. But it just
Well, and I
it
think
oh
maybe
yeah,
it was put there too, like the to show more that she has more to lose this time. I
yeah,
think that's
right,
really what it was. I think it was a symbol of like before she was a kid and she didn't like she and that was actually one of the lines in the movie that stuck with me where they were like, as you grew up, like you now understand you have more to lose, right?
Mhm.
And that's really what she was symbolic of the fact that there's more now that she has to fight for and then more that she has to lose if something is to go wrong, right? And I think
Yeah.
that that's really what she was supposed to capture.
Definitely, definitely. I thought it was interesting too, because the one of the first big songs, like, is we'll get to the kind of the meat of it later, but is like going beyond and doing stuff, and she's like has this kind of internal struggle of should she leave everything she loved behind and do this, which is such a contrast from the first movie where she's like, I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta go,
Yeah.
and this time she's like, yeah, there's so much more here now and other things, and obviously she wants to explore and connect her people, but yeah, she still is the chief of these people, and I think she's or like building into that thing a bit more. And like you said, as you grow up and you take on more responsibilities and build more relationships, things get a little more difficult. Because obviously when we're a kid, it's like you don't have to worry about anything. You can the world is your oyster, but then the reality of the world kind of kicks in as you age.
No, and I think that was, yeah, I was like, you don't know enough to be scared.
Yeah,
Like that was really what it is. It was like
right,
you didn't know enough. You weren't old enough to know to be scared. And like now you do, like, and that's growth, right? Like
right.
that's growth to know, like, oh yeah, and I think about this all the time. Like when I was a kid, going outside, rolling in the grass, like wouldn't even think twice. And now I'm like, there's probably spiders,
Yep.
there's probably all these things in there. Like, no, thank you. Like, I'm not doing that.
Same
Like
with
that.
the ocean too. Just like, do you know how many crazy things are in the ocean? Oh my God.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Yeah. And you're just like, yeah, this is not what I signed up for.
I know, it's so funny. And I still love going in the ocean, but like everyone in my like Betsy and my brother and everyone is like, I'm not even going in the ocean. Have fun. I'll see you later. But once you learn stuff, it's like, oh my God, there's so many things that could go wrong, but it's still beautiful. So,
Yeah.
we have this whole thing going on Motunui, but then we kind of get a quick check-in with Maui, and we kind of get the first hints at kind of the larger story or what's happening. And we learn that he's kind of being threatened by this vengeful god named Nalo and a bat woman named Matangi who's like floating around and doing all this stuff. And we find out that there is this island that they're trying to find that did once connect the people, but Nalo kind of ruined it because he didn't want people to come together because that would diminish his power. And it was kind of a setup of kind of things to come. And I also thought an interesting thing that was one of the first parts where I really felt the Disney Plus side of things, because we didn't get a lot of Maui till like really deep into the movie. Like that was kind of like a surprising thing, and that's kind of sometimes with these TV series, they don't have the budget to pay The Rock or Dwayne Johnson all this as much money as they want them to for all these episodes. So a lot of times the big characters, sometimes you don't see them till the end, till the big finale. You get them hint of them in the mid of the beginning. So that this is kind of that's like one of the things that really kind of made me think that this was more of a TV show, where there was the middle part where we have these new characters, and yeah, Maui's out there and they have to go find him and do that stuff. But yeah, his absence at the beginning was definitely a little notable.
Yeah, well, and again, it felt like the cuts in a TV show, right? Like,
Yeah.
or like that would have been like the finale of an episode, right? Like that you see Moana and then her new friend Moni, who's like doing the who took Tala's
Oh yeah.
job
Yep.
of
Uh-huh.
doing, and like he's like talking about like why can't we just call Maui? Why can't? And then all of a sudden it's like there he is, and he's
Yeah.
like stuck in a cave, right? And
Yep.
it's like complete,
Yep. Yep. There he is. He's there. I
there he
was
is, complete episode one.
exactly. Yeah. That's so that was one of the things where we started to think, oh, okay, I'm seeing the seams a little bit here, but okay, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
And then we go back on Motunui, and this is kind of where we get this beautiful ceremony where Moana is becoming the first Tautai, which is like the big wayfinder leader of the people someone hasn't had this title in over 1,000 years. And the last one was Tautai Vasa, which is basically the leader of in the first film of all the flashbacks we see, he was the leader of the ones leading everyone throughout the ocean and stuff. And we get this beautiful ceremony that's interrupted by a lightning strike, and we get to this kind of dreamlike state, which I thought was gorgeous. And Tautai Vasa as the whale shark was such a striking image, and the way it kind of felt like she was floating in the ocean, but also space. I thought this was gorgeous.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it felt like it was, the storytelling here was really beautiful
Yeah,
around like, you got to come and break the curse, this was, and like, here's all the different things. Yeah, it was very dreamy, like visiony, like it felt like, she has this vision. And what was interesting, I thought this time around after she comes out of it, I mean, her dad still has some of like, we have to call a council, we have to do these things, but it didn't feel as much like he didn't believe her as in
right.
the first time, right? The first movie, it was like, you're full of it, like this is where we live, like you're just being obstinate and being a stubborn daughter, and I need you to just like fall in line. And this time it was like, okay, like they're calling you, right? Like let's figure it out, let's get the team together. So it's just a very different vibe of like the setup from that, which was interesting. And it wasn't so much she was fighting to go in the first movie, and in this it felt like she was kind of fighting to stay, and everybody else was like, nope, you gotta go,
Yeah,
you
right.
gotta
I know.
go, get
Yeah, this
out,
is
go
yeah,
save the world.
and she obviously saw like Tautai Vasa kind of showed her the like you got to go out and find Motofetu and connect the people, because if not, you're just gonna everyone's gonna there's not gonna be anything left. Like everyone's gonna go. It's
Everybody's
gonna
gonna die. Yeah,
yeah.
literally she set up and she's like, this is the fate of your island, they're all dead.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. So it's
wow, like, whew,
sorry,
heavy
sorry,
stuff.
buddy, but you can either go do it or just give up. Just go lay on the beach and enjoy your last few days. Have fun. Bye. But yeah, it was a I thought it was a really one of the first like really striking scenes where I'm like, all right, we're back. This is really, and I even loved like when the lightning struck and then it slowed down and you saw the things happening and stuff. It was just yeah, I thought
Wow.
that was really cool. And then, this is kind of when we return to the real world. Yeah, like you said, we get to the part about her being torn. And then here's one of my biggest problems with this movie, Vanessa. And it kind of breaks my heart to say this, but I felt Tala just came back too easy. I was like, I feel like it just needed to be a bit more earned. It felt like Tala's just always around now a little bit. And
Yeah,
like that part just kind of like I think there was obviously the big scene at the end where all the ancestors come and help her and all these things are happening. And I was like, I feel like that could have hit a little harder. Like I love having her there and obviously it's great, but yeah, it just felt like it was just a little too easy to kind of commune with the ancestors and do the whole thing. And it kind of lost some of its like maybe that emotional bit that we were missing. Did you kind of feel the same way from that side of things?
I mean, I love her, and it
Oh, I mean,
always
she's the
makes me
best.
happy when she comes back. And I
Definitely.
think, but I think that there was be like we were talking about some of the emotional beats, right? Like her mom could have like and was having these conversations with her, right?
Yeah.
Like, and her mom was starting to fill the shoes of the grandmas, like the woman in her world that could give her this like advice and love and stuff like that. And maybe it could have been done like instead of her showing up and talking to her, like you see the stingray in the distance, like she's there. And
Yeah, right.
she could have said her mom could have been like, you're always figuring like you're always going to be you, right? And like
Yeah.
it could have been like she's there but she
Yeah,
doesn't
she's
mean
always there.
here,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah, that's beautiful.
so I think that was, you're right, it was too like, oh, you need me, here I
Yep, yeah, I'm
am.
right here. Let's
It
go. Let's
kind of
do it.
feels like Mushu the
Yeah,
dragon.
right.
Like, up, pack your bags, like
Yep,
let's go. you
yep,
know
yep. Definitely. Yeah. So that was kind of a one thing that I was like, because as we know, Tala she was the reason we created the Talking Disney Magic Hall of Fame. So that
Oh
was,
my God,
I mean,
she's
she's
the
got
absolute
she's
reason,
top
number
of the
one
top.
top.
So that oh
Mhm.
my gosh. So that was an interesting thing. And then this was another moment where we got one of my kind of the images that will stick with me in this movie forever is the comet. I thought that was such a
Oh yeah.
beautiful, oh my God, that was like seeing that in the distance in the ocean. And I thought that was such a beautiful image that was like, it's on one hand, part of me is like, why is the comet just sitting in the sky for that long? It should be going, it should be gone by now. But on the other hand, I'm like, whatever, it's fine. It's beautiful. I like it. It's a cool like sign from the ancestors, and it's kind of just like the path of where she needs to go to find her next adventure.
Totally.
After that, basically, she kind of goes on her way, but she's told that, you need more than just a little chicken that all
You need a
basically just
crew. You
screws.
need a crew.
Yes.
You can't just go, hey, hey, and Pua and be like,
Uh-huh.
hey, we're riding the ocean.
So this is where we get kind of introduced, and we see them a little bit before, and we talked about them before, but basically the crew includes Pua, Hey Hey, a grumpy farmer named Kele, quirky fixer engineer named Loto, and the Maui loving, brainy, story loving Moni. And yeah, it's a fun crew that I think each person may have gotten their own episode or could have been explored more in things. And once again, this is another thing where it kind of felt like these are the ones who would kind of take the place of Maui and give more of that story that you would build throughout each episode and things like that.
Yeah. No, I thought it was cool how they all had like their roles to
Yeah,
play.
definitely.
And I liked how they get on the boat and they're like trying to, they're setting sail and, she's like trying to, it's like get connected or well, find their rhythm was what
Oh
it was
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
song around that. I thought it was cute. Like I thought
Yeah.
that was fun.
Definitely. Yeah, it's always fun to have more. And it's just, yeah, like you said, such a different kind of notion in this film where she was just basically by herself. And, obviously Maui came on later, and then we get Tala and certain things that join her along the journey. But she's got a whole crew this time, so it's definitely a different dynamic. That was fun. It was fun to see, and they were all fun characters. And I think Kaylee was funny. Just I always love a good grumpy,
Oh
grumpy
my God, I loved
curmudgeon.
him. Loved him.
It's always great.
He was so cute.
Yeah, so that was fun, and I also loved. I think this happened before too, and I think this was when she was coming. Oh, I think this was when she coming back. I forgot about this part when she was sailing back, and her father comes out, and they like race back, and you see that he is going by on the reef now and doing stuff and growing. And I thought that was just a fun thing I wanted to mention. I was like,
Oh
oh,
yeah,
I
yeah.
love to see that. That's great.
Yeah, personal growth, right?
Yes, exactly.
Um, and I love how Moni too. So if we like talking about Maui, I think this is how you're supposed to get your Maui
Yeah,
was like how obsessed he is with Maui.
right,
Like
exactly.
all the pictures he draws of
That's
himself
so
when they're
funny.
together, like it's just like very cute.
I love characters that are obsessed with people, kind of like fans are like a Miss Marvel or like one of these people you just like. It's such a funny character type that it's always endearing. It's good. And yeah, then we kind of go start on our adventure, and this is where we
Do
kind
we
of.
pivot back to Maui though?
Oh yeah, I think yeah, is this where we get a little more Maui
Yeah,
and
it's like
stuff?
another piece of Maui. They set sail and then they go back to Matanchi and he's like Maui gives his little war speech,
Oh yeah,
like
right.
come together and it's like all the fish. That made me laugh. I was like, what a great and
Yeah.
brilliant, like it feels like a gladiator or like an Aragorn in Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Come
There's
together.
all these like little guppies like there was a lot of like slime and weird looking fish and creatures in this
Oh
movie.
my
There's
God,
like
so
so
many
many
weird looking things. And they were very cute and very funny.
I know, definitely.
But yeah, so yeah, he's stuck with and Matanji's talking and to him, and she basically was like, you could ask your little friend for help, and Maui is like very adamant, like absolutely not. She will get herself killed. Like this is not something that she can help me with. I got to do it on my own.
Yeah.
And then like it like pivots away basically, and we're back with Moana. Like so, it's like we know they're gonna meet up at some
Oh
point,
yeah.
but it's just very funny how he's so adamantly opposed to like having her help him, which is
Yeah.
just so funny because it's like she helped him last time, but I wonder too if it's like now he understands he has more to lose
Yeah.
too because of how
Definitely.
much he loves her, right?
That's kind of what I was thinking too, is like he yeah, doesn't want her to be in danger and do those things. And there's obviously some of that, but also just the Maui loving Mauiness. Got to be all brave and all that good stuff.
Hmm. Yep.
So yeah, then we're back with Moana, and this is where we kind of reconnect with the Kakamura, and we get the big giant clam mountain monster, which was another spectacle thing that was like a wild thing to see and come to life.
Well, it was funny how they were like all lounging, and it seemed like they were like playing like bocce ball, like they're doing
Yeah.
all sorts of like activities, and they're like
Yeah.
they're ignoring us. Why are they ignoring us? And then all of a sudden, it's like the clam opens up, and you're just like, oh, okay,
Okay then.
they're ignoring you for that.
Yeah, that was enjoyable. They're such funny little characters,
Oh
and
my God, I love
obviously,
them too.
it felt a little similar to the beginning with the blow darts and the first one with the blow darts and things, but then we obviously get the thing we learn that that's why they're sailing. They lost their island too, and they're kind of coming together, and that's where we kind of get one of the Kakamora to join the crew a little bit. They come out of which is always fun, and it's just I don't know, they're just such funny little characters.
Yeah, well, it was once they realized that they were going to go to
Yeah,
Mototafu
motive,
and
yeah,
like Motofu.
Motufetu.
Mutufetu. There we go. I was like, I know I can say it. But yeah, they're going and they're gonna try to save it. That's when they saw the flag. That's when they were
Yep.
like, oh, that's what they're going to do. That's what their goal is.
Yep.
And so they're gonna actually like help us, right? And they were telling their story. And I thought it was really funny how they like made Moni turn over so he could see, and they told the story with the coconuts.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
where they were like, I was like,
Uh-huh.
and I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, that's so clever. And I love it so much.
Yep.
I love the
That was
cockatoos.
really
That's like
great.
my favorite. I just think
Yeah.
they're so cute.
Yeah,
Oh.
this was really great. And then
They did
the
the warrior sign, which I thought was like, yes, they are all
yeah.
like beating their chests and they had this like thing, and it's like that's the warrior salute, like you're going and you're gonna save the world or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
appreciated that.
Yeah. Kakamora, great. I could see a Kakamora spinoff. Let's get that on Disney Plus. Let's see
Or like
that.
the shorts, like
Yeah,
if
right. Oh
we're
yeah,
doing all these like
definitely.
different things, like there would be like three. I feel like that'd be so
That's a
fun. I would
great
watch all
idea.
of them, all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, no voices, just funny like gags and physical things and happening. Yeah, that would be good. I like that.
Uh,
And then after that we get to, is this kind of where we get to the reunion, like Maui
Yeah,
reunion?
so like they're going to try to like save them from the clam or whatever.
Yeah,
So they throw the blow dart, the
right.
clam kind of like goes, and the boat starts to tip over the
Right.
waterfall inside the clam.
Right,
And they're
right.
connected to because the original plan was the Kakamora were like, we will come and help you.
Yeah.
Like if you get rid of the clam, we'll come help you. And so that's the plan. So they get like connected themselves together. They went in, they did the blow dart, the Kakamora that kind of like joined their crew. And then the boat starts to tip over and it's like pulling the other boat in, and they do this salute to each other. The Kakamura's
Yeah.
like, yeah, like, okay, I'm gonna do the warrior salute and I'm cutting us off. Like, you guys be safe. I'm taking the fall. And like you see them like salute the guy that's just gonna like
Yep.
save the world, right? So then they fall off, and then we wake up and it's Loto, Moni, and Kaylee, right?
Yeah.
And Hey, well, and Pua.
Hmm.
And they wake up and then you hear Maui. And so
Yeah.
they're all connected and they're all with Maui.
Yeah.
So, and Moni is just like fanboying up a storm.
I know, it's so great.
And then Maui realizes like he's like looking and he sees Pooh and he's like, all right, like let's get out of here, blah blah blah. And he's like telling them to stay. And then he sees Hey and he's like, boat stack, and he's like, wait a second, where's Moana? And then we pivot to Moana being with Matangi
Yep. And then we
and the
get
bats. Well, she had that nightmare first, right? With
yeah,
Sabina,
right.
with Samina's like, I hate you, basically. And it was
Yep.
like, oh wow.
Yeah, that was
That's
a little
a
dark for a second. Yeah, and then we get the song we kind of talked about before, the Get Lost song, and
Mhm.
this was kind of like a yeah, this was always I think an interesting kind of one of the bigger themes of the movie. It's like sometimes you have to get lost to find your way. Like this is obviously, and it was a theme of even in the first movie where you're just going against the grain, you're going against what you're familiar with. You got to be a little think outside the box, do this, blah 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 blah. And yeah, this was kind of where we get a little bit of the more about Matangi and the way she is, and yeah, find out that she's kind of serving Nalo against her will, and it's like a whole big thing that then after this we kind of don't really see her too much.
No, I don't think we see her again until the
Yeah,
after credit scene.
right.
But yeah, we find out that she's like a prisoner,
Yep.
basically, and that she's been forced to guard this portal for the 1,000 years
Yep.
since Nalo cursed the world, right?
Yeah.
So and that, of course, because Moana is who she is, pulls at Moana's heartstrings. She's like, oh, 1,000 years and you've been stuck here. Like, I'll save you. Right? Like, it's
Yeah.
just like total, like, up, yep, on brand.
Yep,
All right,
exactly.
here we go. Um, so she goes and decides that she's gonna get lost. She jumps off this cliff and she lands in this big purple bubble, which is where we started with Maui, right? He's
Yep.
trying to figure out a way to get into the bubble, and Matangi was just basically like, no, like I'm gonna imprison you somewhere else, and basically was trying to keep him from doing anything rash until
Mhm.
Moana arrived, right? Like she was like, I'm gonna save you from yourself, basically.
Yeah.
And so everybody shows up, they're all on the outside of the bubble, and Maui's like, cool, I'll open the portal. And Moana just starts to do that haka, right? The like warrior
Yep.
call, and she opens the portal, which is different from the last time, right? Because Maui last time she was like freaking out
Yeah,
and
right.
opening the portal, and now she's like, nope, I got this. I'm opening the portal and we're going, right? So yeah, they open the portal and they go into this like again dreamy state, the portal between the worlds, the portal of the gods, whatever.
Yep.
And they're all talking about how Maui's basically like, you gotta be dead.
Yeah.
This
It's the
is
suicide
suicide
mission.
mission.
Yep.
And we get the highly like the scream, the hey hey scream.
Classic, iconic.
Classic, iconic. Hey, hey, like the eye twitch, losing his shit, right? And Moana's like, no, like we gonna live, let's make a plan. And so their plan is basically they're all gonna work together to get to the middle of the storm, and Maui's gonna pull the island up from the bottom of the ocean. And then once they do that, they have to step on the island in order for it to like become the curse to be broken
Right.
and for everything to connect the worlds. So that's their plan. It feels like again another cut of an episode.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Right?
This
Like,
is
okay,
it.
we
We're
make the
doing it. Next
plan, we're
episode, the
doing
big
it, here's the
finale, big
plan, and they
thing.
pop out and it's like sea monsters cut. You
Yep, right,
know?
exactly. We're in trouble. Tune in next week to Moana.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So yeah, so once they're on the island, Nalo is like, okay, I'm gonna bring the sea monsters, and Maui says, you know, you can't we have to ride him out until dawn, right? Like
Yep.
he uses his hook, he becomes the shark, he like basically saves them and rescues them. But their boat kind of takes a hit. They're kind of in trouble. The mast falls over,
Yep.
and Moana seems like at a loss. You know, she's like, I'm not good enough. I'm struggling with the same things. And this to me again felt like some of the same beats.
Yeah.
Like from the first one, it felt
Right.
like it was meant to be unique, but it felt very the same, and it didn't hit in the same way, I think,
Yeah.
because it felt like they were trying to like, I don't know, replicate from the original, right?
Right.
But, you know, this time, instead of it being a Maui, you know, you're welcome song, he does the I don't even know what is it like, can I get a Chihu song?
Chee-hoo! Can I get a chee-hoo?
And he like raps about how like she, you know, she's definitely the chosen one,
Yeah.
and she can't like just give up and break down every time things get hard. And so she's like, all right, we can do this. And she goes ready to give her team a pep talk, and they've already fixed the boat and they are ready to rock for
Yep.
round two. You know, they are like, no, like we're your team. And I think one of the poignant things was like Moni was saying, you know, thanks to you, I get to live a story instead of just telling them,
Right.
which I
Yeah.
thought was like very
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh,
Definitely.
like, oh, that's good.
Great,
You
great.
know? So yeah, so they go back and they're like, okay, we're gonna, you know, rescue the island. And they start to battle these like tornadoes with lightning, which
Mhm.
this scene I literally, so my husband is terrified of tornadoes.
Oh
Like they
no.
are his like
Yeah.
number one fear. So I was like, the tornadoes, they're coming for you. And he was like, I'm freaked out. I can't handle it.
Oh my gosh. That's funny. Poor Sean.
And the tornadoes are filled with lightning, and they're like, you know, Maui is trying to like fix them all and like break them, and they realize like, you know, they're never gonna figure it out if they don't split up. And so she's like,
Yep.
think different. Maui, go do that, and we'll distract the storm. And he's able to get to the middle of the storm. They don't even bother worrying about him. He puts his hook down. He starts to pull up the ocean or pull up the island. And that's when the storm is like, oh, wait a second. Like, I don't like
Yeah,
you
this is not
anymore.
good.
This is not what I wanted you to do. And then Loto, the shipbuilder, was basically like, here, you know, I'm going to think differently too. And she basically made it into a parasail instead of like the regular sails. They had a lot more flexibility in how they move the boat. So then, yeah, they're sailing, and Maui is pulling off the island. He gets struck by lightning. It seems like what I took from this was the gods cursed him,
Yeah,
or the
kind of
god
silly.
like took
Yeah.
his power away,
Yeah,
like
Nalo.
stripped him of all
Nalo
his magic,
basically like yeah, took everything away from him and all that stuff.
and
Yeah.
sent him to the ocean. Was like,
You're
sink
done.
you,
Yeah.
like forget about you.
You're welcome.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Yeah, exactly. And so he's floating in the ocean. Moana's like, we're never gonna make it happen this way. And she's like, so how do we think differently? And I think that was the whole thing, was the song was just like, how do you think different?
Yep.
And I like that theme of the movie. I did, about like, how do we think differently? So she decides she's gonna jump in and swim down to touch the island underneath the water by herself. She's like, I'm
Mhm.
gonna do this basically. And I don't know if she thought she was going to sacrifice herself or if it was never intended to be a sacrifice, but she was just like, I'm going
It's
to
one of
do
those
this.
things when you're a leader, you just got to jump in head first and see what happens.
Yeah, then just do it. And like, damn the torpedoes, full steam ahead is
Yeah,
really what
exactly.
it is. So she goes and she barely touches the island before the lightning strikes her, and it's like this like very slow motion scene, and then you see she's just like, in this I felt like was very kind of emotionally traumatizing, like dead looking in the water.
Yeah, right.
But they rescue Maui. He goes to try to save her. They land on top of the island. A bubble of air comes up, and she's dead.
Mhm.
She's dead.
End credits.
Bye.
Over.
Yeah. And that's how the movie ends, when one's
Yes.
dead, you know. He starts crying, and so the Polynesian cultures, they do what's called a haka. So I studied abroad. I lived in New Zealand for 6 months when I was in college, and the
My
haka
favorite place in
is,
the world.
yes, it's amazing. I would live there in a heartbeat.
Yes.
But it's like the haka is like a ceremonial dance. And
Yeah.
the idea behind the hakas is always like, I'm doing this dance as a warrior dance, and I'm doing it so that you're not just fighting me, you're fighting me and my thousands of
Yeah.
ancestors. And I'm calling on my ancestors to come and fight with me, fight this battle with me. And so they're stamping the feet anytime there's anything like that. That's what it is. It's a Polynesian like war dance, basically. And so Maui starts doing these chants because he's like, I'm gonna save this girl. I'm gonna call on all the ancestors to like, we're gonna make this happen, right?
Yeah.
And so when he does his ceremonial dance, or well, his chanting is when what was I the ancestor comes, the first one, the
Tautai Vasa.
Vasa. Yeah, he shows up, and then all the ancestors show up.
Tala.
Yeah, Tala's back. Again, I think you're right. I think if it had been Tala just here, it would have been,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and it may be like this, the manta ray, other
Right.
instance,
Something. Yeah.
right? I think that would have been more
Yeah. Right.
emotionally poignant, but alas, here we are. So
Yeah. So
call us
cool.
for Disney story beats next
Yeah,
time.
really. We'll do the next movie. We got it.
We got beat
Writing Disney
down.
magic coming at you soon.
They chant over her, and she wakes up and she gets her tattoo because she's now, is she
Yeah.
a demigod?
That's what we think. That's kind of
That's
what
what
I've
we
got.
think.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what I
yeah,
got. So
like
she
because it's like
becomes a
kind of
demigod.
Maui's tattoos are all about his accomplishments as he grows. So like you would assume as she continues to grow as the Tao Tai and does stuff, she'll keep growing. And obviously her oar got a little golden scripture and is now maybe her hook as to like Maui's was. So yeah, it seems
Hmm.
like she's now a demigod like
Demigod.
Maui,
Hmm.
ascended.
Ascended, yeah. Which makes sense because she was dead.
Yep,
Right.
exactly.
So
Yep.
they brought her back to life, and they were
Yep.
like, okay, when we bring you back to life, you're now a demigod, right?
Yep,
Like
exactly.
that, I felt like that was where I got a little bit emotional, mostly because it's like the community and the
Yeah,
family
of course.
came
That's what it's all
together.
about.
That's
Of
where I
course.
was
That's what
like,
we loved about the first one so much and all this other
mhm.
things. Yeah.
So she gets back on the boat and they sail to the island that's now been pulled out of the sea.
I love that image of
Mulcahey.
Maui pulling it out and flying together. That was such a great
Yes.
moment.
Yes. And so they're on there and she blows the horn again. Hey, hey, does his horn
Yeah.
blowing again. And you're like,
Yeah.
"Okay."
But then the
And
real one comes.
and then they all come back. There's tons and tons of
Yeah.
people. They all flood in. All different. They all look different. They all have different types of boats. And
Yeah.
so it's about bringing everybody together. And then they all sail back to Motunui and bring their culture there. And it shows some of the integration of the cultures at the
Yeah.
end.
New
Um,
tools, new things, new stuff.
mhm.
That's the power of connecting is bringing different ideas together and becoming stronger together.
Yeah. And I like the Samaya. They earlier in the movie, Moana had told Samaya that if she ever met Maui, she was,
Oh
hold
yeah.
him by
Yeah.
the
That was
ear
great.
and
Yep.
be like, I am Samaya, and you have my sister.
Oh my
And
God.
so Moana, so Maui is the first one to land back
Yeah.
on
And
the
everyone's
boat,
like,
and he's like, "Where's Samaya? Where's
whoa.
Samaya?" And she like grabs him by the ear, and she's like, "Oh, definitely the right one,"
Yeah.
which I thought was cute. And then they have the Moana bees, which I thought was hilarious.
Yes, that was great. Which actually was voiced by The Rock's daughters, two of them.
Yeah.
Just cool.
And yeah, that's basically how the movie ends. So they're all just like living in
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
And then there's the end credit scene.
Right. So yeah, make sure you stay through the credits because this is the first time we actually see Nalo. It like felt very Thanos in the MCU.
Yeah.
Like he's like, this is just the beginning, and we see Matangi still kind of a prisoner, is still under his control, and all this stuff. And yeah, it was a interesting choice that was like setting up, yeah, Moana 3 or maybe another series. I don't know what, but they got some big plans for Moana because this felt like the building of the MCU or a little bit
Yeah,
or
right?
something.
They
That's
totally
literally
did.
what it literally felt like Thanos sitting on his throne and like getting this tease, which yeah was interesting. Like I don't know, I'm torn on this a little bit because I thought it worked obviously so well in the MCU because there's so many different movies and franchises building towards this thing, but this is like just Moana. So like we're not going to be seeing obviously Nalo in like other Disney films or other things. So I'm just like I felt like he was just so missing in this movie. Like there was the big villain was like the storm kind of like Matangi a little bit, like his presence was there, but it definitely felt like okay, season two might be Nalo, or maybe that's what the original Moana 2 was going to be, where Nalo was like the big villain or something. But yeah, there was like a like it was fun. It was like kind of a cool setup thing, but yeah, it was like a little like man, this is where we see Matangi again, and the first time we see Nalo is some people might even miss it because they don't even stay through the credits. It was interesting.
Yeah. No, I agree. I thought it was a little bit odd, but I'm wondering if they're thinking about like building more of a Moana universe
Yeah.
because like the demigod type thing and like
Yep.
superhero
Yeah.
style. Like I'm wondering if they're trying to lean into that in a
Right.
different, get a different audience excited about that kind of thing as like a way to drive,
Yeah.
more people into
And hey,
Marvel.
MCU could also mean Moana Cinematic Universe. I mean, there's no
Oh,
one
thank
stopping
you.
that.
Yeah,
Marvel doesn't have a trademark on MCU. It's just letters.
yeah, it's true. It's true.
The Moana Cinematic Universe coming to you soon.
Trademarked by Talking Disney Magic
Yes, exactly.
today. Today.
Oh, I love it. But yeah, so that's Moana too, and that's like where does this leave you? Like, do you want more Moana? Are you like excited about the future? Like, are you like okay, I think we're ready to sail off to different shores, or where are you kind of at after how did this leave you? Did it leave you wanting more? Or are you like, I feel like we've seen
I think if there was more, I would take it,
yeah,
but I don't know that I'm like
right,
dying to have more. I think there was an opportunity for this movie to really set it up and knock it out of the park and make it be
yeah,
like, oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait. And
right,
now I'm like, I would do it.
yeah,
But like, I kind of almost want to separate this in my mind. And again, I think it might be I'm being super critical because I didn't watch it for myself. I
right,
watched it
of course.
for the talking Disney magic of it.
I feel like we'll have to do like a revisit podcast at some point. Like I feel like we should there's because a lot of these movies do grow on you. So it'll be interesting to maybe revisit this in a little bit and see how it ages and stuff.
Maybe next time we have Moana news,
Yeah,
we can come back with
right.
like if there's any Moana news. But I think that for me, I would take more, but like, and I was excited that she's a demigod.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool because a lot of times, and this is changing a lot, right? But men and male characters get a lot more of the cool stuff
right.
sometimes than the women characters do, and they kind of get so like in Frozen, Elsa becoming the Snow Queen or whatever, like that was a cool thing. But a lot of times it's Maui is the demigod, right?
Right.
And that's because of culture. That's like a lot of things, and
Yeah.
so I thought it was cool that they're like, no, we're gonna kind of flip the script and make Moana become a demigod too. I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
definitely. And it'll be interesting to see like how Maui feels about Moana becoming a demigod, and like there's a lot of different things they can play at and stuff. So yeah, it'll be interesting. So yeah,
I
I'm
wish
kind
there
of
was more Pua
yeah,
too.
I know. Yes, that was what we were talking about. I'm like, Pua, come on. Like that was like such the big tease of this movie that
Yeah,
and he was just kind of like there. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I still love you, Pua, but unfortunately I can't induct you into the Hall of Fame. Sorry.
totally not.
I don't think was there anybody I don't think there was any Hall of Fame entries in this movie, sadly. Did you have any?
No, I mean I love the Kakamora, but I don't
Yeah,
know that I love him enough.
right,
Hall
right.
of Fame him.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, well, I think that kind of is a perfect point to jump into our ranking of the movie. Just like we've gone through all the big points and kind of let's wrap it up with a nice bow and see where we put Moana 2. Because right now, last week, we placed Moana on top of our tier list that goes S, A, B, C, D, and F. So Moana is number one in the S tier, and followed right behind it is Snow White. We still have nobody in the A tier, so it's still waiting for its first entry. In the B tier, we have Inside Out 2 and Fantasia. And in the C tier, we have Wish and then Pinocchio. So last time, I think you kind of kicked things off. So I'll jump into
Yeah.
this, and I'm I'm going back and forth a lot of ways in this movie. I think right now, if I had to place it, I enjoyed a lot of it, but I saw a lot of seams. Like I said, there were some of the emotional beats that didn't quite hit for me.
Totally.
There's a lot of things like I said, once again, I really enjoyed a lot of this movie, and I'm excited to watch it again. And I don't think it's a bad movie by any stretch. And I mean, the setups are cool, even if I felt like I wish we got a bit more maybe villain or character development of that in the middle of the movie and actual things. So I think right now I would place this at the top of the C above Wish is where I'm thinking Moana 2 fits in right now. I thought it was an enjoyable movie that there were so many parts where I'm like, I just wish she was a bit more. And I was hoping for a bit more, but I still overall liked it. I liked a lot of the songs, a lot of the moments, and I still think it's a very enjoyable movie that's going to do very well at the box office. And I'm excited to watch it again. And like I said, instant reactions are tough because you don't have as much time to sit on things and really understand things. But if I had to kind of place it now, and we'll see where it evolves. Like I'd love to revisit. I'm aiming at a high C. Could have been a low B, but I think high C is where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I asked my husband last night. I was like, what do you think? And he was like a B was
Yeah,
his reaction. Because it has a lot of the similar things to Inside Out.
yeah,
But as I was watching it and as you were talking about it, like too, for me, I was thinking about it in comparison. Like as I laughed, I was thinking about it in comparison to Wish, right? Like there were so many opportunities for this to be spectacular,
yeah,
and they kind of just missed it
yeah,
a little bit. And I think again, similar themes to Inside Out, similar things to I think the one benefit that this has above Wish, which I agree it's above Wish, is that because they had the development from the first movie, they didn't have to like they had more already backstory.
right,
And the show was already there. And so there was just, but you know, you were mentioning some of the characters were kind of two-dimensional and they all had like their one thing they were good at, and that's why they were chosen for the crew. And they never
right,
really broke out of that. They all
right.
kind of just did the things they were good at. And I think in a show, maybe it would have been able to develop differently than in an hour and a half movie, you know? It's
Yeah,
just a truncated different medium for storytelling. And I don't
right.
know that they fully made the pivot to tell it in a movie style versus a show style
Yeah,
successfully. So I think I agree with you.
yeah.
See.
Great. Oh, we also forgot to mention the Tamatoa. Tamatoa came back at the end. That
Yes.
was a fun. I was like,
And it was
hey, that
like
was a fun
he's
little
not
cameo.
shiny
I
anymore.
know. It was so
I was
sad.
like,
Poor
did
guy.
he lose all his status because he
I
lost the
know.
hook? Like, I don't know. I was like, I don't understand. Why is he like covered in like
I know,
dead
like
animal
trash or something.
carcasses
It's
and
like, oh,
trash? Like, you were so shiny. Why
I
did you
know.
become not shiny? Like, I don't understand.
Well, that's the Moana 3. That's the get
One
shiny
of
once
three.
again. Oh, that's so funny. But yeah, so that's so okay. So where it stands right now, we have Moana at number one at the S tier with Snow White behind it. Inside Out 2 and Fantasia at B. Moana 2 is now topping the C, followed by Wish and Pinocchio. And that is the current ranking of Talking Disney Magic. And that is our ranking and reviewing of Moana 2. Vanessa, wonderful job. Round of applause.
Oh
Great
yeah, round of
work.
applause for you too. We were gonna do an instant reaction last night, but it just got to be so
I
late.
know
It was just like
it was
not.
rough. It was rough. But now now you got a full breakdown from us, and I'm proud of this one. I felt like, and I kind of like how we went through the story and talked beat by beat. It's like a fun, it's like an interesting way. So we'll see. We'll take it as we go and do stuff. But I do want to encourage everyone, if you want to be a part of the show and tell us how you like our show, how we can make it better, all that kind of good stuff, send it to talkingdisneymagic@gmail.com. Once again, that's talkingdisneymagic@gmail.com. And you can join our Discord on the show notes below, where you can also find timestamps, jump to different sections. And we'd encourage you to share this with a friend. Let us know what you thought about Moana 2, what movies you're excited for, and all that good stuff. And Vanessa, where are we going next week? I forget.
I was just looking. So next week we are heading back. Well, we are heading forward in time yet again. Well, back from Moana 2 today, but we are looking at Elemental.
Oh, I'm excited for this one.
Mhm.
I
We got Elemental to round out the year. We got Elemental, then we got Dumbo, then we are doing Lion King as a special episode
yeah.
to go get ready for Mufasa, and then that will be how we close out Mufasa special pod. Similar vibe to this, where we'll do some instant
Yeah.
reactions and spoiler free and spoiler reactions. And that'll be right before Christmas. So
I
that'll
love
be
it.
your feed right before Christmas, and
So
then we'll be coming back in January, back in our normal order. So.
yeah, that's great. So yeah, so we look forward to those movies. Once again, we'll put that in the show notes so you can find out what you need to watch to catch up and do that. But we really just want to thank you all so much for joining us for another episode of Talking Disney Magic. If you celebrate, we hope you have an incredible Thanksgiving, incredible holiday, get a lots of food and love and laughs and all kinds of great stuff because you
And
deserve it.
football.
And
And
football,
football.
yes, definitely. Go Browns.
Food,
Woohoo!
family, and football. No, go
Yes.
Buckeyes.
And Buckeyes, let's go.
Let's go.
And so, until next week, we just want to thank you so much. We hope you have a great day and or night and a magical week. And we will see you on our next episode. Bye, everybody.